everyone, this is your Tuesday with D&B Academy, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you guys how I usually go about making my own sample packs and my workflow to get those templates and samples into a new folder so that you can make music with fresh sounding samples from your previous projects, and also a good way to actually recycle those sounds that weren't released or were in forgotten projects. So without further ado, let's get into the program. The way that I go about it is that at the end of every year, I usually go and open up all my ideas that I've made in that year, all my collabs. And for example, I'm just going to open up a random project here from April, beginning of April. And even though this might not be a finished idea, I have, certain sounds in here maybe that I really like or that I did like in that moment. And this is why I kind of chose that, right? To be in that project. So basically by opening up old projects like this, let's say for example, this was made in April. I never really got to finish this at the end of this year. So right, so I'm going to take a look at the different kind of elements that I've applied into the project like this. And then what I would start usually doing is, like, if I start liking stuff, I'm going to go ahead and loop that section and solo it, and then I would go ahead and export it. And when I export it, what I'm going to do is, let me just close this up real quick. So when I export it, what I would do is go into my desktop, open up a new folder, and basically start exporting my sounds, whether they're bass, whether they're effects, with a number and then my name. And so that's how I would basically start making my own sample pack, just going through unfinished ideas and choosing the best sounds out of the actual project, exporting it, in solo, and then renaming it in a tidy way so that you can later reuse it. And this is how I generated basically a lot of samples, have them all in separate folders, after I've kind of exported them. And now I can go through all that work that I did throughout the year, or all that work that I did in collabs or tunes that I didn't finish, or even releases, and I can reuse that in my future tunes, right? And so basically that means that even if you don't finish the tunes, even if you have few releases here and there and stuff like that, all the stuff that you did throughout the year, all the ideas that you eventually started kind of working on, will end up in this folder, or at least the best sounds from those projects will end up in a place that you can later, grab them from easily and reuse them and recycle them into new projects. And not only does this help you kind of have more structure within your music, then you're actually going to have, a little bit more of a signature because you're using certain sounds over and over again, or maybe kind of like reusing them in interesting ways and stuff like that. And this works especially for drum kits, right? Once you've made some really good drums, you can essentially reuse them in other projects and stuff like that by doing this technique. And that way, you can also have a solid kind of similarity between your tunes by doing this as well. So at the end of every year, I just kind of go through them. And even though it's tedious kind of work and it does kind of slow down your workflow a little bit, once you've got all of these samples in one folder where you can reuse them easily and just kind of scroll through them, it's going to be really easy for you to kind of structure and arrange tunes, because all the samples that end up in this folder, for example, are samples that have ended up there because you like them at a certain point in the projects that you snatched them from. So it's really cool to kind of hear them, all of them kind of side by side, because they're all sounds that you made and that you exported into this new sample pack because it caught your attention or you liked it. So for example, in this case, I would kind of go and maybe check the key of my bass and then actually export my bass with the actual note that it's in. So it's easier for me to also kind of tie that in with other sounds later on in the future. And not only that, I will also, save the patch or the preset, and then I would delete the project. So not only are you making space and kind of getting over your unfinished projects, you're making the decision of, like, whether you should keep certain sounds or not, and at the same time, like, you're stumbling over old projects that maybe you should finish and making the critical decision of like, all right, should I trash it, or does it have good enough elements that I can actually finish a tune and make it, you know, a full composition, right? So here's when you start kind of, you know, listening to your drafts and ideas back to back, and really noticing whether some ideas are worth finishing and whether some ideas are just worth kind of scrapping and choosing the best kind of stems from, and then, you know, making a sample pack out of. So yeah, so basically making the sample pack that is like 10 gigs or something like that. It took me around 2 weeks. And let me just see how big it is. So it's actually like, yeah, it's over 13 gigs, almost 14 gigs. And it's all sounds that I made during 2023 and 2024. So when I was on tour making music with my friends, and all the sounds that I made during the tour that I, you know, maybe didn't release, I ended up here in the sample pack for me to use in the future and actually apply in another composition, right? So that's just one of my tips and tricks that I want to share with you guys, and my workflow with making sample packs, and how I go about making my sample packs, and actually you know, working with the sounds that I made throughout the year or the past years, and not letting that time spent on music making go to waste. So again, this is your Tuesday with DMV Academy, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And again, if you like the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications for our next upload. Thanks for watching.